Kia ora, Lara here, also known as Scrappykea. This month at Close to My Heart, we've got something called Cardstock Carnival. So I decided to set a bit of a challenge in my Facebook group of creating a cardstock only layout, no patterned paper. So what I've gone and done is I have used the stitched hexagons thin cut, which I'm not sure if it's available still or not. However, it's one that I've used quite a bit for different things, and I've sort of used the second smallest little die that's in there, and I just grabbed out a sort of a selection of blues and greens from my stash of cardstock. And just as I was doing that, I was thinking, well, actually this probably is some colour packs I need to replenish, and I need to do that before the end of this month because Cardstock Carnival means that there are lots of the cardstocks on special. Now, what was really handy about using the Close to My Heart cardstock is that it is double-sided. Now, most cardstock, yes, they've got colours on both sides, but the beauty of this cardstock is one side is slightly darker than the other. So the different colours that you can see here, you'll notice that there's a slightly darker and a slightly lighter version of each one. And so by cutting them out, I would just flip them over in the die cutting machine, and it meant that I got the darker and the lighter side of this cardstock. What's quite nice too is the white core. When it's the stitched frame, it sort of has that little bit of that white that shows through, so it's kind of just an added extra, or something that I'm going to miss if we are unable to get this cardstock any longer. It's lovely, it goes through the Cricut, so now is a really good time to stock up on it. So I'm just randomly placing these little pieces. There was no particular order. I did try and separate out the colours a little bit, and I'm aware that the photos will go on parts of it. Now I'm using the Dina Wakley white gloss acrylic here, which is in a spray bottle, but I am just sort of tapping that on to make sort of that splatter look, so that they're not solid pieces of cardstock. I did wonder about using some texture stamps and some different stamping, and another beauty with this cardstock is that there is matching stamp colours for all of them, so I could have sort of added a little bit of depth and dimension in that way without sort of overbearing or taking over from it, but I decided not to. I decided just the splattering would be enough. So these three photos are of my daughter, my husband, and my other daughter, all in varying responsibilities on the sailing vessel Faith, which we spent overnight, and I've done a few layouts on this recently. You can tell I enjoyed it, and Alicia was driving, Katya sat down while she helped the sails go up and or down, and then Jason got fully involved in there, standing up and joining in. So our sail back into sort of the Te Ano shopping, or the sort of main town area, meant that we put the sails up, and Alicia got to do a bit of the driving, which she'd sort of wanted to do all the way along. And yeah, it was just kind of a nice fun finish to what had been a lovely overnight adventure. So I backed my photos here, which I'd printed in black and white with a white cardstock, and then I'm not sure which actual colour it is. It might be mint, or it could be sage. I am not 100% sure. But as I said, I just grabbed out some random sort of colours, and I did wonder about doing that other capri type colour there, but decided not to. So I've got the photos. I'm kind of happy, just thinking about the arrangement of them, thinking about the faces. Are they looking out? Where are they looking to? So Katya was sort of looking up, which is why I've put her to the left. Jason sort of looking out to the edge. I sort of wondered about swapping him and Katya around, and then Leisha sort of glancing over back to the centre of the layout, so I put her at that very edge. I am mounting these onto the layout with a little bit of foam, because the hexagons that I've stuck in the background there are sort of there's a little gap of white between them. It'll be an uneven surface. The foam tape really helps to sort of even some of this out. So now I am going to ink around the edges, and I am just using Glacier to do that. I just wanted sort of a little touch of something different. I'd wondered about adding some stitches, and I wondered about drawing a line, but I just really liked how at the moment the hexagons sort of draw your eye into the centre, and the black and white nature of those photos just really pop. I was having a look at my Instagram feed recently, and I noticed that I've used a lot of these pale blues and greens, and it just seems to be a go-to colour at the moment. I know that when I was sort of choosing the inks and choosing the colours for this, I did spy one of our older colours. I think it was called raspberry, and I kind of wanted to add a splash of pink, but I decided that it wouldn't quite fit with this page as it sits. So here we've got essentially the page, and I need to work out my title, and I've got a couple of alpha there. I've got that sort of a border alpha, but I end up deciding to go for the lollipop alphabet, which I think was in one of the more recent bi-monthly catalogues. And I'm just going to use some archival black just to stamp that, and I wondered about up the top but decided to do it at the bottom. Right, and I'm just going to title it Sale. So I'm working backwards. It's always a bit tricky when you work backwards. You've got to make sure you don't quite get your letters around the wrong way, but it was a risk that I took, and it paid off just fine. So just using the smallest stamp block that will fit these letters means that I'm less likely to get sort of smearing or rough edges or anything from the ink onto where I'm putting it. I didn't need a precise science to line it up, just lined them up by eye, and it worked out pretty good. It was quite handy having the base of the hexagons there that give me a bit of a guide. So now it's time to add a little bit of journaling, and I'm going to sort of do that in the middle here. You'll notice I just turned the mat over. One side had sort of a really foamy side, and it was great when you're stamping on a big surface like this layout because it just gives a really good base or platform for the inking. And now I've turned it over to the harder side. So I'm just saying, love that we got hands-on, went overnight on Faith, even if Karchi's version meant she could stay seated, February 2024. So that's just smiling at the fact that Karchi just sat there. Hey, I hope you're inspired to use some cardstock and give the cardstock only kind of challenge a bit of a go. And here's some close-ups of my layout that I've created in this way. And thanks heaps for watching. If you've enjoyed this, subscribe. Love to have you join me on a creative journey. Thank you.